Well, I would imagine that they tell guys in Haredi land growing up that everybody who's not one of them is must be up to no good or something. He died in 1951. He was in Italy. They're not, it's like Rashi wasn't Haredi either. You know what I even mean? You know, Rabbi Beryl Wine likes to say a lot of people don't have an appreciation for Jewish history and the development of halacha and Jewish philosophy. They learned the Brisker Derech in yeshiva. They think Rambam was a Litvish Jew. Rambam was a Litvak. No, Matter of fact, they ask people. There's like what a Rorschach test is, the ink blot test. Oh, we use this muscle all the time. The ink blot test is just a random blobs of ink. The guy spilled ink on the paper and folded it and opened it up, and there's shapes. It's like looking at clouds. So it's a psychological evaluation. He asks the person to look at this shape, and he tells you, "Oh, that looks like this child jumping rope. It looks like a nice idyllic farm." What he sees, tells you more about what's going on in his head subconsciously than it does what's actually in front of you, which is just a random ink blot. Okay, the ink blot test. So a lot of these, you can ask a diagnostic question. You give a multiple choice question. Maimonides was, okay, if Rambam was around today, he would be Haredi, Satmar, Dati Lumi, a Reform Jew. Okay, what you describe in Rambam in today's terms, like where he would find himself, tells you less about Rambam and more about the guy answering the question. Okay, and his view of the Rambam. It was Sephardi. Oh, okay. Yes, that's true. He called himself. Well, he was Taimani. So Taimanim would say, "Oh, the Rambam would have been one of us." Okay, and some people say everybody, in a good sense, everybody wants Rambam to be part of their camp. They think that like we idealize the Rambam, which is why, let's say you go to America, what's named after Rambam throughout America? Just like take New York and Boston, Jewish day schools and hospitals, right? Sometimes libraries. So that's how we idealize him. And like I started before, I think before some guys walked in, said even at that Center for Reform Judaism in Jerusalem, they have a big sign in front. Like their motto is, like the Pidyon Shavuim thing. Who are they quoting? The Rambam. Okay, they're quoting the Rambam. Yeah, that's the problem. It's only 50% Judaism. They're happy to quote the Rambam. Yeah, we want to do like the Rambam, Pidyon Shavuim. But what about the rest of what Rambam said? Oh, that we don't care about. And how you do Pidyon Shavuim. We're only going to say Rambam says Pidyon Shavuim is great, but we're not going to say that the Rambam also says that which we're advocating for, it should not be done. Okay, they always forget that, pick and choose. So it's a good Rorschach test, how people relate to the Rambam and other figures. Well, they only have part of the Rambam. That's the whole thing. How people relate to the Rambam and how people imagine the Rambam, or where people place the Rambam, tells you more about them than it does about Rambam. Okay, just to know. And that's why we like studying the words of the Rambam. We would hope that we could finish the entire Mishnah Torah and everything the Rambam said, so we get appreciation for his complex ideology and Talmudology, if there's such a word. There's a guy I know who actually that's his website, Talmudology. Okay, so the Rambam has a very complex individual. Certainly, in his own days, there were many who called him the biggest heretic there was. But most people, when it comes to defining what heresy is, whose definitions do they use? The Rambam's. The Shloshis Rei Karim. So very complex. Either way.